already actually, and Pascal, CJP has done a very good job with the slides. So I have to be very brief and I have to speak to what he has done. The slides are very exhaustive. So actually, I would just contribute to an aspect of what CJP talked about. And that is the aspect of risk mitigation and risk management in loan collection and loan recoveries or debt recoveries in China-Nigeria business relations. Like CJP has said, this discussion border government, but business to business between Nigerians and Chinese. So my presentation will be based majorly on what CJP has said and based on experience in managing risk. So now the first issue, when we want to manage risk, because we have some variables here. A lot of Chinese businesses, we noticed, a lot of Chinese businesses, they do not want to come down to Africa, send representatives. We have people from Africa or from Nigeria coming to China. They go to Guangzhou and the rest of that. They buy goods, they buy machines, and they ship back. And the payment is actually made. Sometimes we have issues of payments not being made and the rest of that. Then we also have some Chinese businesses who would come down to Nigeria to sell their goods and also collect payments from Nigeria. Then you have the other third aspect of Chinese business. Some come to Nigeria, register a company in Nigeria, register a company, say maybe Nimbo Aeronautics in Nimbo, China, comes to Nigeria and registers Nimbo Aeronautics in Nigeria, Nimbo Aeronautics Limited in Nigeria, and they do business. So we're going to discuss these three categories. Now, when I advise Chinese businesses, I tell them that if you are doing business worth more than $5 million yearly, you're bringing in goods into Nigeria, you're selling to people, and your business undertaking is worth more than $5 million yearly, then it is risky for you to just do business from China or just be an agent or have just an agent in Nigeria. You need to register in Nigeria. 5 million, more than, if it's more than above $5 million, you need to register to do your business. And there are reasons for that. When you are doing business worth above $5 million every year in Nigeria, if you have a registered office in Nigeria, you can have directors within these companies in Nigeria. You'll be the shareholder, you're the Chinese company in China, you'll be the only shareholder. Then you have directors in Nigeria who can help you have a presence in Nigeria, run your bank accounts, and also do things as detailed as due diligence. They have to check out who are coming to buy goods from you. Can they bring you guarantors? Do you check their bank accounts to know the type of businesses they are? So when you check whether they have, do they have the capacity to pay you? If you give them goods worth $1 million, how much business have they done in the last 1 year or 2 years? So if you are based in China, you can't be able to do this. You don't have the access to all this sort of information. So, but if you have a presence, what you do, you register a company in Nigeria with your Chinese team. CJ has talked about repatriation of capital. There's also a process of importing capital into Nigeria. So you get to import capital, run an account. And when you run an account, have those directors who, by your agreements with them, they should work for you. And in fact, what we do is that lawyers, you should have lawyers. We do that as lawyers, CJP and I. People come to register their businesses in Nigeria, they're foreigners, they register, we give them our office address to use as their business addresses. We help them get correspondence, we help them get licenses. Then we can also give them directors. Sometimes we can be directors in those companies to run those companies for them and ensure that things are done in accordance with the law. People come to collect goods from these companies and we call them, we interview them. Who are you? What's your business? What do you do? And based on that interview, you know how much goods you can give to those people. If somebody is a small business, is a sole proprietor, he has a small shop somewhere, and what you need to do, you need to go send people there to find out how many years has he been in this shop. Does he own the shop? Did he buy this shop? Or maybe he rented it? Because if he bought the shop, of course, he can't run away from it. If he rented it after 1 year, he could go. And based on that, you could say, okay, give this guy goods worth $5,000. Or if he says, I want to buy goods worth $20,000, but I only have $10,000, it's okay. We can sign an agreement with you to say that we're going to give you goods worth $20,000. But first of all, take $10,000, deposit $11,000, take $10,000 worth of goods. Go and sell that $10,000. When you are done, we'll give you the balance of the goods. So that way, good and fine, you have some cost of keeping these goods in the warehouses, but you've not lost all. Then secondly, another issue with having such a company, what it does for you is that you're able to have a place of operation. Because the problem with a lot of Chinese people is when they do business from China, anybody can come from Nigeria and say, I'm from Nigeria, but they are not from Lagos. They are probably from one part of Nigeria that is very far from Lagos. So even when issues come up with they are not paying, the Chinese company contacts you, a lawyer in Lagos. You find out that this person is 4 or 5 states away from you. The cost of going there, verifying who the person is and trying to get back this money, it takes you time. So, but when you open a company in Lagos and your operation area is in Lagos, the people who are meant to manage these operations for you know that we operate within the space of Lagos, so we can't go beyond this area. And if people are coming from outside those areas, you can tell them, no, you have to pay in full for the goods. So we are talking about, what we are talking about now is proper $1 million. How are they going to do it? Now, the law allows you can have agreements from China. What do? You don't need to register a company here, but you can have lawyers. What those lawyers do for you is the same thing I talked about. They're meant to perform due diligence. Look at who these clients are, interview them, go and find out, look at their company papers. Are they registered duly? Where are they and the rest of that? So then, since you're also not in Nigeria, what you do is to make sure that these people buying goods, even if they are not paying fully, let them have guarantors. Guarantors are people who will come and say, if they do not pay, I'm going to pay. I undertake to pay you this amount of money. And these people should be people who are like wealthy, they have a very good bank account, and they have some documents they deposit so that once the person does not pay, you can quickly, the lawyer in Nigeria can sue them on behalf of the Chinese company and get back this money. So lawyers are very, very, very important. Pascal said this, or CJP said this when he was talking about use of lawyers. But the problem we get to see is that Chinese businesses do not engage Nigerian lawyers until after the loan has gone bad. They've given out loans and they are trying to get the person to pay back. So after 2 or 3 years, they come and meet you and you say that they have a loan, a loan, we like to call it a debt profile of as much as $10 million. They are telling you, recover this money, I can give you 30%. But at this point, it's almost 5 years, almost 3 years. A lot of these people have gone, they've left their businesses. Okay, you don't know where to find them anymore. No proper documentation, no proper addresses. Even the papers they signed, some signed with fake names, and some of them, they open the businesses maybe 1 month. I register a business and I get goods worth $1 million from a Chinese person. After that, the person could stop using that business, go and open a new one. So these are the areas and the issues we have. So the next thing we are going to do is when we talk about when you now have a loan is here, a debt is here, goods have been sold, services have been rendered, and the people are not ready to pay. What do you now do? Pascal, CJP talked about arbitration and going to court, but we also have negotiation. Now, there are lawyers in Nigeria. We are trained to negotiate debt. We are trained to sit down with people and tell them, because I've done a lot of that. So it involves me that this company is here in Africa. They are big, they're into electronics. This company, okay, they're selling electronics, they are selling motorcycle spare parts. So that beyond electronics, we can give you, electronic spare parts to sell and all that. We can give you all this. So it's like a bargain. Somebody is owing $20,000. You tell them, okay, now you're owing $20,000. Can you give us $5,000? If you're able to pay $5,000 in 2 months, and that $5,000, we can give you this. We can give you more concessions. We can give you more goods. We can open a better credit line. So when you do that, you have that negotiation back and forth. People pay. So, but where people do not pay, with negotiations, when you talk, there's what we call mediation. Mediation is the aspect of you go to a body, it's an institutional body, The difference between mediation and arbitration, like Pascal said, is that when you do mediation, we represent the Chinese businesses and we go before an independent person. But what we do is that we negotiate with the debtor. We talk with the debtor. How can you pay? But in front of an independent, a third party is there who is independent to guide us. So most of the time, mediation helps because when you do mediation, sometimes people can open up to you, they cannot pay. So they might tell you that the interest rate is too high. I bought these goods in dollars, and that the dollar rate has so gone up, I can't be able to pay. And you can then give them options. Can you pay little? And the good thing about mediation is that because you have a third-party independent person, at the end, you both sign an agreement. There's an agreement to be signed. And when you sign that agreement, it's like taken as documented that both of you can act on this. So we also have what we call mediation and the rest of that. Then another issue is, like I talked about, we can also do litigation as a last resort. Litigation should be a last resort because by the time you finish putting in all things in place, all these measures of let's see who the person coming to buy is, let's measure them and all that. Your litigation of being just 2% or 1%, and you can write them off as bad debt. But even if you're going to have litigation, if you've ensured that only registered companies who have stayed in business for 5 years or more, well registered with structures, what you do is you try to wind up the company. You apply to the court to say that this company is owing me $10,000, they cannot pay. So please, court, can you wind up this company, seize all their assets, seize all their money in the bank, and hand over to me? So, but you can only do that with a strong company. If I've done business with a company, I registered a company 20 years ago, maybe 2002, I've been using it for business, people know me, know my name. And then a Chinese company comes to court and says, court, please, this company, wind it up, take all their money, take all their assets and pay. He's owing us. Of course, the person will quickly rush to go and pay because nobody does business with a company for 20 years and would want that company to be closed down. So that's why we said there should be proper investigation as to this company, how many years have they been in business? What other businesses have they done? Do they have other suppliers apart from the Chinese? Do they have suppliers in Indonesia, in India, and the rest of that, in America? Because if they do, and they're doing business in that name, they cannot owe you. Because if they owe you, if you go and say, close down this business, they can't go and start with a new name because people from Indonesia, China, and other places, they already know them as this company. So when we want to do litigation as a last resort, if we put in all the steps in place, we'll be able to, go into litigation and very comfortably and immediately get back this money. So that is the area I'm talking about. So the other area Pascal talked about, he talked about repatriation of funds and all that. It's easy because I tell Chinese businesses that it is easier for them to repatriate funds, take out funds out of Nigeria from the system here if they are registered. Like I said, if your business is worth as much as $5 to $10 million yearly, please do get it registered, get the proper licenses in place in Nigeria, because that way it is far, far, far easier for us. You might not even need to come into Nigeria. You don't need, and you can, check all your accounts. That's why you use proper lawyers, lawyers on ground, have a system. And once proper payments are made, the licenses are in your name. You can have all the documents here in China. It can be done, and documents will be sent to you. The photocopies of the documents will be here in Nigeria. So that way, it's easy, very, very easy for us to recover debt. But I don't know, probably Meng, I don't know whether you have the same problems we have here, that Chinese businesses, documentation, they don't do proper documentation. It's always difficult to get them to do proper. But by the time they come to meet you to help them recover money, there's nothing on ground. There's no paper agreement. What they've done is they sent emails or they have phone conversations, and that is not enough. So what we're looking at is proper documentation, due diligence, and also another thing we should also look at is, just like Pascal said, let transactions be done in dollars. The agreement should say payments, payments might not be in dollars, but the contract sum, the amount of the debt should be in dollars. So that way, if the exchange rate goes up, they pay you in dollars, you can easily repatriate your money because you're a foreign company, you do business is an international transaction. So that is my intervention on this issue. And I'll thank CJP for a very good job. I spoke on the aspect of risk management and risk mitigation. So thank you very much, Meng. And we also like to hear the China angle of it, of how we can also recover for Nigerian businesses here from Chinese businesses over there. Thank you.